Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. It's Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Got a fun show for you guys today. We'll be covering some Saratoga. Okay. I guess I shouldn't fake this excitement anymore. Saratoga fucking sucks. All right. I don't understand why I was excited for this. This is worse than the Keeneland thing where you get super excited for Keeneland to start and then you realize that Keeneland also is just impossible. So yeah, I guess there is one exciting thing. Mr. Chase Sessoms, the Wolf of Oaklawn,
Oh, hey,
is joining us. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me again. Feels like home. It's good to go home again.
It is every once in a while. I will say you know, I guess we're gonna get real here early on in the show. You know, I have regrets. I have regrets, and not just betting Saratoga today and every day of this meet, which are huge regrets. Chase, I'm sorry I missed you when you were in town.
Dude, that's not even your fault. We were asleep by like 8 every single night. Like shepherding a 4 and 7-year-old through not just Chicago, downtown Chicago, and then walking all through the aquarium and museum and shit. I was wiped. Everything hurt at the end of the day. Thank God it's a recreational state though.
Yeah, honestly, if work hadn't been so crazy, I may have pushed it a little bit more and been like, "Hey, I'm gonna come down this time, whatever." But it kind of felt like when you were telling me what you were up to, I was like, "Man, he's packing in a lot in these couple of days."
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's gonna be up for doing anything. But
have we both been avoiding talking to each other because we both felt like dicks for not hanging out while I was in Chicago?
Oh no,
I felt like a dick, honestly.
No, I just assumed that you got super busy, and for me it was more relief because with work lately, I've had to log in at 11 o'clock at night a lot and do stuff at off hours, and I'm in all kinds of meetings, and it's just been a mess. I was actually supposed to be in Vegas today. Shout out to our friend Gary. We were supposed to be in Vegas. He had a concert he was going to go to on Friday, and I ended up having to cancel. He had he's got some personal stuff going on, and he was just like, this just isn't a good time. We'll scrap it. And I had booked through Southwest. I was able to get all my money back and everything, so it's not a big deal. But I have all this PTO. I got basically a whole week off, and I was like, well, I guess I should cancel my PTO, or I can just drink and play video games for 4 work days straight.
Sounds pretty nice.
So I am at home being just an absolute degenerate.
I will say I'm going to give you a recommendation, even though you live in the city. Mm-hmm. If you have not gone to Adler Planetarium on 30 milligrams of gummies, then you are missing out, sir. Amazing.
I have not gone anywhere on 30 milligrams of gummies, let alone the Adler Planetarium.
I see the Road Warriors in the chat. He'll be happy to know that the Adler Planetarium in Chicago still keeps it strong with Pink Floyd laser light shows.
Oh,
and
goodness.
Sell Pink Floyd merch in the gift shop.
I can only imagine what that experience must have been for you. Speaking of just you can only imagine what an experience with this gentleman could be, Mr. Mark Capitan.
How's it going, Josh? How's it going? Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing all right.
So you're I've seen you playing video games midday, many a day. This is a new thing. I just thought you kind of just sat at home and played video games all the time. I thought that was
no. Actually, it's really funny. As much as Mark jokes about that, that is my cutoff. like I will like during work hours I will sit on my phone and maybe play like a game on my phone or something like that. But like I don't know, I had a buddy who used to do that. He would like log into his computer and like play
Steal time.
yeah, but like, I don't know. It's just not like the normal type of theft. You know what I mean? Like, sit like, getting like your seventh cup of coffee or going out for a cigarette or, just, bullshitting with your buddy, like, actual theft. But yeah, no, it is gonna be nice to have a couple days off. I'm planning on going up to I might go to the OTB tomorrow. I'm not sure, but definitely going on Saturday for a Hawthorne event that they're having. So that'll be fun. But Mark, you were talking a little bit about frustrating day you had today. Why
Yeah.
don't you talk to me about it?
No, it just was one of those days where, I capped the late card, thought it was a pretty skinny pick five sequence, had all the winners, just didn't have them all in the same ticket. Bad structure, bad handicapping, whatever you want to call it. Just, I mean, it's been kind of how Saratoga's been, obviously it's raining at my place now, which means it's raining at the track. So I'd imagine tomorrow, if not all of it, a good portion of it's going to come off. They're calling for rain throughout the day, and it's been a terrible meet. I mean, something like 80% of the turf races have been off the turf, and that just, for me, a lot of the luster of Saratoga is you have two turf courses, you have a lot of turf racing, you have a lot of very competitive big fields in those turf races. When they get rained off and they scratch down, and you have 5-horse fields running on good dirt, it's just not fun, and it's just it's been a really brutal meet, and I'm cautiously optimistic things will clear up for Saturday. Does look like there's a chance of thunderstorms all day on Saturday, but it doesn't look like a high chance. So hopefully this rain comes through and the turf stuff stays on the turf, because Travers car's really good.
Really admire their restraint not to put every turf race that's been rained off into the 1 mile Wilton shoot or anything. Oh wait, they're putting everything in there, and I hate that configuration so much.
So I like that configuration if it was a race carded for that configuration. If they card something at 1 mile in the dirt, it's great. I hate when they scratch turf races. They're like, the mile and 16th, the turf on the inner, that they scratch out, put it a mile in the dirt. Those are the worst races ever. They're terrible.
In a true show of sorry to interrupt you, Chase, but in a true show of just degeneratism, if that's a thing, I do have a Hawthorne pick 3 that's starting here in this race. I posted it up here. I got the 1-6 here.
No from Cicero.
It's pretty good.
That was pretty solid. I was impressed with that. Yeah, you just whipped that out, huh? Nice.
I'm just surprised that that Hawthorne is close to Cicero.
Well, I mean, being from around Hot Springs, where Al Capone used to spend his vacation days, I feel a connection to the South Side.
There you go. But Chase, sorry, I interrupted you so I could get that while they're loading in the gate. What were you going to say to Mark?
But the Wilton shoot, like, it feels like when you're going somewhere and you're taking Google Maps, and Google Maps is like, take a left. But in reality, you just keep going straight and the rest of the road just like bends off to the right. Like, the way that it's configured and everything, I hate it. I hate everything about it. I cannot figure it out for the life of me either.
But choose the speed horse, Chase. Just pick the speed horse, because they win every race.
Every time I pick the speed horse is when it's something. The speed doesn't speed.
So something like, it's crazy. It's like 75% of the races are won by the first horse at first call. So just find who's going to make the lead and you're fine.
Also, with the angle into the chute, I have no idea who makes the lead. They're like, I'm like, all right, my horse is on the lead, and they're like, and way far at the back. It's like, oh,
yeah, and it tends to seem that if you want your speed horse drawn to the outside because of it. I don't know how technically we want to get, but horses will tend to move into space. So what ends up happening is all the horses all the horses on the inside drift in, and then even though they have the guide rail out, they still kind of they basically, it's your curved road. They come in and then they go back out and then back around. So those outside horses have a huge advantage with that, especially if they're speed types.
Man, they're cooking at Hawthorne here, and I got 2 closers.
I mean, I have a 2-3-10 exacta and trifecta at Del Mar. So
yeah, I did see Jay's got the 9, 11, and 12 at Del Mar for $2 pick 4. I know you had something cooking there, Mark.
Yeah, 2-3-10.
2-3-10.
So we have no courses in common. It tells you a lot about this race.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. The 6 is going 7 wide, and he
I hear
just
that's a
disappeared from my screen.
high percentage move.
I don't see him on the screen anymore. He was very prominent and then disappeared. Wow, they really went 23 and 3, 46 and 4, and it's gonna get wired. No, it's not. Okay.
Speaking of nighttime degeneracy, I saw a Australian harness race last night where the sulky was scraping the grandstand rail. No shit. Like
Wow.
it was the widest I've
I mean,
ever seen a horse
okay,
close.
so just playing Aussies is a level of degeneracy that one. I get it. I'll play it. We don't whatever. Aussie harness. I didn't even realize that was a thing.
I wasn't say that I won't say that I was playing it just because I don't like to admit that to people, but yeah. I've had some of my best scores with the Aussies. Who was on your ticket, Josh? Who did you need?
I needed the 1 and the 6, and it did not. The 5 won at 16 to 1. Unfortunately, did not have it. But we got a couple of races here we're going to talk about. Maybe we'll have a couple winners here. Mark did did take the lead in our contest yesterday. I didn't check the results of today as of yet, but
I blanked.
you blanked. I think I blanked too. I don't even remember who I had. No, I got a place horse, but he was like 4 to 1, and it was an awful ride. I think by JJ, if I remember correctly, because that's all I get from JJ's awful rides.
Oh, you're doing personal ensign first?
Yeah, it's on Friday, right? We're going in
Cool.
chronological order here.
Okay,
Um,
that's just
so,
I figured you
the-
would. I figured you'd look back.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at the late pick or the mandatory pick 5, which starts race 8 on Saturday. But Mark made a demand. He stamped his little feet. He put his slim fit T-shirt on and was like, "Hey, let's cover this personal ensign." So
I like
race.
it's a slim fit T-shirt with a portly man on it. Is the best part.
It's rather portly man T-shirt.
But
I will say these shirts are exceedingly comfortable. This is like the most comfortable T-shirt I've ever.
Those tri-blend
so
shirts,
nice.
Those tri-blend shirts also run small.
Yeah.
I found because like I swear I wash it once and it's like my double XL turns into an XL, and that's not
Okay.
gonna work
Charles
for me.
is saying 2-day pick 6. I didn't think there was a 2-day pick 6.
There is a 2-day pick 6.
Is there? Wow. Yeah. Okay. I will have to get one of those together for a ticket because
Sounds like you might need to get one of those group tickets together in the other Discord, so in the Reddit Discord. So it sounds like Mark has gone into witness protection. You say the word group pick 6, and Mark just disappears. But we'll get Champow's on that. We'll get Wilkie on it. Personal ensign. Mile and the 8th here on the dirt. This is the who's who of the older fillier mare division here. Chase as our guest. I'll let you take first crack at here, and I know there's a horse near and dear to your heart in this race, in Secret Oath. Are you going to pick Secret Oath on top, or you're going somewhere else?
No, I'm going somewhere else. I think the X factor in this race is actually going to be the 2 Malloy, not because it's going to play in how the final result runs, but because you have a sprinter stretching out who you expect to show some sprinter speed that's going to maybe rush Idiomatic from the inside. And I think that, honestly, I'm going to be boring here. I'm going to be chalky. I think that Nest ends up sitting a really comfortable trip behind the pace and has first run at them. And I'm not sure that anyone catches Nest from behind if Nest hits the top of the stretch in the lead or even with the early speeds.
Mark?
Well, I'm watching Tiago doing Tiago things right now. So if this horse can get brave at 40 to 1, that'd be really cool. But with that said, I think it's a very interesting race. It's the sort of who's who of this division, and I know Chase is saying that he thinks the Malloy really goes. I just don't think Malloy can go with Idiomatic. And I think that, I think Idiomatic has just more early speed. I think she's going to get really, really comfortable on the front end here. In her last, she's just kind of found new form her last two. I don't know where that Shawnee and where that Delaware handicap came from, but, sometimes you see a horse that throws a big figure and you go, oh, geez, they're going to regress. But she just kind of keeps getting better. And I think she's a really interesting player. She's going to, really kind of, I don't know, throw a wrench into what Nest wants to do. And Nest is just kind of used to, assuming the lead late. And I think Idiomatic might get really, really be a very tough horse to chase down and pass in the lane. So I think Idiomatic's going to be my top choice. Nothing against either Nest or Clariere. Both are absolutely phenomenal fillies. But I'm going to go with the, kind of the newer shooter here.
So it looks like Idiomatic's going to be the morning line or the post time favorite, since both Mark and I have Idiomatic as an
congrats,
A.
Jay.
So I kind of see the race same way that Mark kind of sees it. I don't know. I think you bring up a good point about the 2, right? If the 2 goes, that kind of does mess up Idiomatic's plan, I think, here. If you kind of look at the optics plot, the Idiomatic looks like going to get all kinds of loose in the spot. I will say, I am going to have to use one of the 2 short prices, possibly as an A, maybe a B. It depends on, I haven't looked at any of the other races in here, so I don't really know how I'll structure it. But if I am going to use one of the short prices, I'm actually going to go with the 6 Clariere in the spot. And just because I think the only way that that I think that the 1 kind of loses is if the pace gets, really, really fast. Maybe Ness gets first run and is just too good and wins. But I don't know. I think Clariere is on her day can be just as fast as Nest, and you're gonna get a better price here on Clariere. And like I said, the only way I really see the 1 losing is if there's a pace scenario that does benefit the 6 Clariere in the spot. So I'll use the 1 and the 6.
Are the Wet Tomlinsons pretty much almost identical for Idiomatic and
all 3 of them are basically
Nest?
the same. Idiomatic's a 425, Nest is a 446, but she does have a win over the Wet, and then Clariere is a 434. So I think even if it does come up wet or it comes up really sloppy, I don't really think it changes that much. The one thing I will say though is just, even at this level, albeit, these are, I think Tommies matter more at lower levels, but, Idiomatic's not going to be eating mud the whole race. And, I think to me, that's a huge thing, especially if it does come up wet. So I think, that was in the back of my, head a little bit that, it's probably going to be a wet one.
My take was, I think you had to, if you're playing horizontally, you pretty much had to single. You had to take a stand and single in this race. You couldn't use Idiomatic and Nest. It's hard to use Clariere with either of the 2. And so that's why I landed on Nest. I'm gonna say maybe like a Curlin baby exacta or trifecta here in this race.
Yeah. So the 2-day pick 6 is the Personal Ensign, the Forgo, the Jerkins, Ballerina, Sword Dancer, Travers. Mark, in case you were curious, it's all the grade 1s.
Okay, so it's only 1 race on Friday and then 5 on Saturday. Yep. Okay, that's yeah. Okay, yeah. I respect that. That's not a bad sequence. It's odd that they make it into a 2-day, but okay, whatever.
Yep, and make sure you DM at PackRat99 on Discord to get into the group ticket. To make sure you get there.
And then give him an absurd amount of instructions with what you want in the ticket, or don't give him any instructions and then get really mad at him when it doesn't hit.
Honestly, my favorite part of the group tickets, right? Like I get it, right? It's tough to do it. But my favorite part is like everyone always gives very clear instructions on like, hey, we're only buy 1 share. It's like $25 a share or something, right? And invariably, somebody sends Mark $200 to $500 as their share of this thing, and the next thing you know, it's just like we had like 1 year, I think, what do you have, 5-6 grand or something?
5 or 6 grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally, the first 3 people that messaged me, we had said, I think it was $20 minimum buy-in, and then whatever. I had like 3 people immediately message me like, I'll give you $500. And I had like $1,500 in like 15 minutes. I was like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I remember
the degeneracy in that Discord knows no bounds.
I remember you messaging me like, "Hey, I'm thinking about what should I do with this." And I was like, "No, no, I outsourced this. I paid you to do this for me. Yeah, I'm not thinking for you."
Yeah, that's Caleb. That's very much Caleb. Caleb is funny because like we'll be playing a video game or something, and we'll be talking, and he's like, "What did he say?" He's like, "No," he's like, I paid someone else to do this thinking." Second of all, but he's like, "I'm not even interested in it." But you better believe there is no way that Mark hits on a group ticket and I don't have a piece. He's like, because I know as soon as I don't put in for it, he's gonna hit. So I'm just gonna keep on. He keeps on sending in money on it. So, yeah, make sure you send Mark the money for that group pick to get there. Anything else on this race? I thought, like I said, I thought it was a pretty straightforward race. It's gonna be a fun race to watch. Nest
Yeah.
is probably the most likely winner in here, but
I don't think it's the best betting race. I don't think it's the best betting race, but I think it's going to be just a really cool race because nobody's ducking. Everybody showed up for this, and we always complain about horses ducking races, and oh, I'm going to go find a softer spot. Well, they all showed up here.
It's but it's sad that everyone is 6 horses. I'm going to give you a trifecta that's puppies and sailor suits adorable here with the structure. Nest keyed on top with 63 caliber Clary Air in second, Idiomatic keyed in third.
Give me 1 second. Chase's drug trifecta.
I'm actually remarkably sober. They outlawed
He needs
Delta
to be more stoned before he gives out really good.
And I need to be able to. It's 5, 4, 6, 1. So I also need to get this right. There we go. There we go. 5 over 4, 6 over 1. That's your exotic play for this.
Would you play that back, Chase, as 5 over 1 over 4, 6?
No, because there's nothing. I mean, what's the point?
Not enough meat there. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm taking I'm gambling that Malloy actually does show some speed, not enough to get ahead out in front of Idiomatic, but just enough to increase the pressure, and Idiomatic suffers because of it.
Yeah, just to take the other side of your Malloy thing, I think Malloy is purely in there to try to get 3rd place so that they can, when they sell her, she can be graded 6th placed.
Fair.
All right, race 8. We're going to move on to Saturday here. Well, actually, real quick, any thoughts on the Forgo race 7? I know you guys both. I didn't look at it yet.
It's a 2-horse race. It goes through Gun 8 or Elite Power. Pick which one you like the most and go with that. My take is probably that I think Elite Power might be better at 7 than Gun 8 is. So I would probably lean Elite Power. Or, I'm sorry, I had that. Am I saying that backwards? Yeah, I think
yes.
Elite. Yeah. I'm trying to say Gun. I think Gun 8 might be a little bit better at 7 than Elite Power is. So I would probably lean that way. But yeah, I mean, I think that's just it goes through those 2 horses. I don't see anybody else winning that.
Yeah, I honestly, I think I'd take 2 free squares and then I'd turn a 2-day pick 6 into a pick 4.
Yeah, I would do the same exact thing. That's exactly how I'm looking at it, Chase.
You don't think there's any value in this race? A possible upset? Playing the Allberger here?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I see those 2, and I think it is a little bit. It's a little hard to get around. I think get around it, especially with. I mean, there's nobody else in this race, right? I mean, like what you're gonna bet Pipeline? So
only other horse I could see maybe trying, and I think that's a fool's errand personally.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree.
All right. So race 8 here, mandatory pay pick 5 here. So this is going to have to pay out no matter what happens. And we have a nice full field of 12. We got some AEs, we got some MTOs. Your favorite is technically not even drawn in. So I think the 12 Southern Horse at 7-2 is the lowest price of those that are drawn in. And I will say, before I talk too much about this, if the 13 draws in, I think he's basically the clear horse to beat in this spot. Super Quest here, Mark Cassie and Ired Ortiz. That allowance race last time out. So Sua Summer just came back to win a nice race today, and held off Fauci. Like, well, I mean, who hasn't held off Fauci? So, yeah. So Super Quest finished second in that race, coming back here. So that's a bit of a key race there. And yeah, I think it's definitely going to be the horse to beat in this spot. But I think if he doesn't draw in, the race gets a little bit interesting. I had my top pick as the 2 Monet Never here, with Flavian Pratt and Philip Antonacci. Won a nice maiden race here a couple weeks back, going 5.5 here on the turf. Coming right back here, the second place finisher came back and won. I think American Know How. He came back and ran a pretty nice race a week or two ago, didn't he, Mark? I think he was wasn't he one of your
He was, yeah. Yep.
your picks or something? I thought he won, but maybe he
I think he ran
twice.
second.
Did he?
I
Okay.
think he ran second. Yeah, don't hold me to it, but
yeah, so that last race is looking to be a pretty productive race. I don't have time for them up right now, so I can't see what they came back and ran. Yeah, I thought Monet Never is looks pretty good in this spot. When you look at the optics plot, which I rely on pretty heavily, is nice square here in the middle of the plot. Obviously, this is assuming the 13 doesn't draw in. There doesn't seem to be a ton of speed in this race. That's kind of why I think the 13 looms really large if he does draw in here. I think we'll get. Even though out in the parking lot, I think we'll get a fairly soft lead and should be able to wire from out there. But I have the 2 as my top pick. I got a couple other horses in here I like, but Mark, where did you kind of land?
yeah, no, I agree with you on the 13. My issue with the 13 is that draw is absolutely atrocious. He's in the parking lot, and might be the horse to beat, but man, that's a terrible draw. Actually, and obviously we've been doing. Josh mentioned our contest. My top pick in here is actually the horse that I'm using in the contest for Saturday. Well, yeah, let me go and I'll tip it off and then we can go from there. And that's the 9 Immortalization for Norm Cassie. Norm Cassie has been 50% on the Saratoga meet. This is a horse that's 204 going the distance. Horse seems much better at 5.5 than he does at 6. Absolutely in every other type. And this is the every. But I do realize this horse is coming in off a long layoff, but I really think, of the speed types, he's the one speed that's really proven on turf. The other inside drawn speed, Talking Pharaoh, the 4, the Linda Rice entry, I don't know if that horse, obviously had that one race where in the Ward Barn where he was absolutely sent, and he's clearly has the ability to go that fast. But I really think that this 9, it is the at least proven on turf, and he's also proven on this trip at Saratoga. And this can be a quirky trip. So I like the draw. He's outside of any trouble. He can rate. He'd show that in his maiden. So I think he's a really major player in here at an absolutely stupid price. I imagine this takes money because I can't be the only other person that is into this 9.
Chase.
They're not going to run this on turf. I'm just going to say that right now. There's no fucking way they run this on turf. So my thought with this is I have about 5 or 6 horses that I want to play, and we'll see who's still there come Saturday. Who's really interesting to me is actually the 16 Defuski Island. If Defuski Island actually draws in and actually is entered, because
he's an MTO.
He's an MTO, but he ran on the 19th. If you'll remember, ran on the main track. It was a day it was the conveyor belt as the track was drying out. And it was where Rosario surprised who should have been the lone speed Defuski Island. And just with the closer went full scent, went dark Rosario, went photo negative Rosario on us and stole it on the front. Could it be that Defuski Island was kind of surprised to it? Surprised, didn't get the didn't get the jump and didn't run its best race. And if the horse runs back and is entered, I'm actually very interested into it because the horse is a speed ball in the front, and I think it can handle the off going. I'll probably throw in also 12th Man, the other MTO, number 15. And then, there we go. Of the ones that are actually entered for turf that I think could stay in and have a good shot, give me the 7 Acoustic Avenue, who can send a little bit. We've got some mud pedigree, and the horses, only missed the trifecta once on off track.
I was gonna say if it does stay, if it does come off and go on the dirt, and I realize the chances of that are probably really high. I agree with everything Chase said, but I would add into that equation the 13, which Josh had mentioned. That horse also has a ton of munnings on top. Anytime you see munnings in the mud, that's that's kind of a must fire. So I really think if the 13 draws in, major player. If it comes off the turf, also major player. So.
That was not praise. That was harsh criticism for not doing what he always does. Take a early speed 5 lengths off the pace, or take a closer 94 lengths off the pace in a 5 furlong race. He went full send and just surprised everybody, and it was the smart play because you got out to the lead, hit the rail, and you were fucking gone all day.
Yeah. Speaking of just dirt horses, basically. There are 2 other horses that, I had question marks written down. I don't know what I'm going to do with these horses. I think they're both useful types if they stay in and it goes off. We'll start with the 4, Talking Pharaoh. And this was more of a, if the 13 doesn't draw in, this is probably your speed in this race, at least per optics. Looks to be fairly dangerous here, sitting in the Q1, and would almost be lone Q1 horse if 13 doesn't draw in. So even if this stays on a turf, I do think the 4 is a little bit dangerous. It's got by American Pharaoh, so does have that turf pedigree there. I know has one run on a turf and it wasn't very good, but the horse has kind of developed a little bit more since that start. So I'll take another look with that horse. The other horse I looked at was the number 3, Handsome Cat, and really, the reason I kind of looked at this horse was because there's a couple of green words here on the optics notes. 2 out of his last 3 starts have been against the bias. Last time out, there's a note of traffic, was very rank and wide in that. So you got all kinds of problems there. So, a little bit of a cleaner trip. First time out for Joe Sharp, I believe. And, if this horse improves at all, I think does fit in this spot here. And looking at the, does have 8 starts on the turf. But it's a square eddy, right? So this is also turf pedigree. So yeah, I thought the 3 made a bit of sense here as a bomb type. Maybe not on top, but maybe definitely one that you can use underneath here. So the 4 I think is more of a win candidate, depending on what happens with 13. But I thought those were 2 kind of interesting horses here that you could use at somewhat a big price and kind of a middle price there.
Yeah, and I'll mention there's Josh talked about the 4. That's a horse I like if this is on the turf or if it does get rained off. I think the 4 makes sense in both situations. Another one of those horses I think is the 1, Elusive Edge. This Michelle Hemingway horse doesn't probably have the speed to make the front end if it stays on, but is going to sit that sort of pocket trip, and that's been what's been working all meet on the turf, especially in these turf sprints. You don't necessarily want to be the leader unless you have a monster. You want to kind of set a little bit of cover, and I think Johnny V is going to set a real nice tactical trip here. And I think this is another one of those horses that the 5.5 furlong trip seems to be what this one wants to do. Win at Colonial, going 5.5. And it seems like this horse just kind of stops going 6 or 7. So I wonder if this is one of those 5.5 tweener horses that it loves 5.5, but just can't quite get 6. And so, I think that is pretty interesting horse, in this spot as well here, and again, this is another one that, if it does come off, I still like quite a bit.
Plus, I mean, I like what you're doing with the pocket trip horse because the temp rails are down, and when the temp rails come down is when that inside pocket trip really starts to wake up.
Well, that's what won the feature today, was that inside pocket trip with the rails down. I at paid $65 or something. So
Anything else in here, Chase, you want to talk about?
No, like I said, I have probably 8 horses I could throw in. It's just bat war of attrition. Whoever makes it to the other side to the other trench on Saturday is who I use.
I'll say this race of this pick 5 is the one I think you need to spread the most and you need to have the most coverage in. I think there's very likely you get a price in here. Again, if Josh's horse does draw in, that horse makes a ton of sense, and maybe the favorite wins. But I think otherwise, there's a lot of price potential here.
No matter what pick 5 you play on this day, you're going to have one of these probably off turf races. You're either going to start with it or you're going to end with it.
Yep.
Shout out! I see our boy Tommy in chat. So shout out to him, and hope you're doing well, Tommy.
Is that Boston Tom? Tommy?
It is Boston Tommy.
Tommy.
All right, let's move on to race 9 here. The H. Allen Jerkins going 7 furlongs, and unfortunately, we're not going diagonal anymore, right? We're not going diagonal anymore. Right, Mark?
Diagonal?
Yeah. Right. Wasn't this the King's Bishop before?
It was.
Yeah, and
it still is. I mean,
they can only move diagonally, but no, we're moving forward now.
Oh,
straight ahead.
That was terrible. God, Josh, that was horrible.
And I think, Chase, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about a point that you brought up earlier, where you were talking about how, hey, you're going to have to get through one of these kind of chaos races, depending on, hey, is it going to come off? Is it going to be on? And you're probably, whatever you look at today, you're probably Saturday morning going to have to reformulate whatever you're doing. But I do think, and I think this also kind of talks into what you were talking about, Mark, how we do have these spread races. I think that, to me, this is kind of a very, I think, straightforward sequence for me, at least for the way I handicap. I don't think that there's a ton of I don't really think that any of these other stakes races you really need to spread. I don't know if I went more than 2 wide in any of these next races. And I don't think you need to go. Maybe you don't necessarily use the horses I'm going to use, but I think that these are definitely races that you can make strong opinions in, and be narrow and leverage up your opinions here.
I mean, if you're against someone, they're bet down 1-9, why not throw the rest of the horses at them? But I'm with you. Like, there's really no need.
I just think this is going to be a lot of these races are where, like, there's 2 or 3 horses that are going to be between 9-5 and 3-1, right? And you can't use all of them, and so it's like, you're going to have to kind of you're going to have to take a stand somewhere, and might just you could maybe get through all this without any of the favorites winning. But even if that happens, there's also a chance that it's 5-2, 5-2, 2-1, 3-1, and still fairly short price horses. But this is an interesting race. I think this is another case where almost everybody showed up, right? And we're going 7 furlongs here. We got some of the best 3-year-old 1-turn horses here, and the morning line favorite is the 6 Arabian Lion for Bob Baffert here. And this is a case where I am going to take a stand against one of the favorites here. And Mark knows that there is one Bob Baffert horse who I just absolutely, I think is just a really, really cool horse, really, really good. And he's also in this race. And that's the number 4, Fort Bragg. And I think, if I didn't copy my notes, but yeah, this is a lone A single here for me. Fort Bragg, that Dwyer last time out, beat a nice horse in Saudi Crown, was very game in that effort. And, I think he was a little bit unlucky in that Pat Day mile. And, General Jim was able to run him down by a neck, but has run 2 really nice races here, these last 2 races. And I think that there is a bit of speed in here. And this might be one that, you're going to want the horse that's running 3rd in this race, because maybe the 2 kind of duel themselves into submission here. So I single dayed Fort Bragg here. I didn't really feel like I needed to go any deeper than that. Chase, where did you kind of land here?
So I'm going outside of the Baffert and the Yak Taffert, now a Baffert again. Which just don't you love fall in the air when the leaves change colors and the Yak Tafferts become Bafferts again. And my thought on this was, for one, New York Thunder has never done anything wrong. That second fraction between the first call and the second call in the Amsterdam last out was elite. Just a 22 seconds after rattling off a 21-second opening quarter. 21 and 2, then 22, 22 flat. And if the rain has come, passed through, the track is drying out, and it's conveyor belty, I really don't want any other horse, but I am going to kind of hedge myself a little bit, and I'm going to go outside the box with Verifying as a horse that showed a little bit of rate. So I want the very earliest speed and then a horse that can actually close into it. Because, looking at how the run styles of everyone who's entered shaped up, there's not a lot of variety here. Like you're either early speed or you're very close pressing. I think Verifying could probably lay off it a little bit. Plus, you've got some off-track form here, so I go too deep with New York Thunder and Verifying, and leave the Bafferts for the Rubes.
Hey.
Yeah, I saw this race identical to how Chase saw it, which is actually scary. But no, New York Thunder has done absolutely nothing wrong. The time form fig and the buyer speed fig for that last race are both freakish. He ran a 134 time form, which is just an absolutely monstrous fig. Yeah, my only concern with New York Thunder is to see bounce off that Amsterdam effort. That's the only thing I really worry about. But he was pretty geared down, never really asked, just kind of ran his own race. I don't think he, I think there's more in the tank, and that's really kind of scary.
Yeah.
We've said that before, and I get it, but I think he's a very, very, very talented horse, and he'll be a lone A on everything for me. And the only other horse I do want is, and I agree with you, Chase, if they go a little crazy on the front end, there's a ton of pace pressure. Somebody like a Verifying, that can sit off the pace and kind of pick up the pieces late. There's always an argument to be made that maybe Verifying really just wanted to be going a little shorter all along. So I agree with you. I think he's the one horse that I know that they can kind of sit back, watch it come apart, and he's been okay for him. There's nothing wrong with winning the Indiana Derby. Cash and checks is a good thing.
I also think the layoff is going to do a lot for Verifying, because Verifying was very much on that early winter through the spring Derby trail grind. That takes a lot out of a horse. So I think winning the Indiana Derby and then resting is probably a good recipe for winning this race.
Yeah.
And I maybe Tommy might disagree with me on this, because I always forget where he stands on this, but I have one huge concern about New York Thunder. I mean, look, it's a 3 cherry horse, right? I should be all over this horse, right? But
well, you have a boner? You have 2 boners.
I already used the word, Josh.
The bounce.
I think if the horse was going to bounce, it would have bounced after like the Lexington or the Sir Barton. It just got stronger. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. The boner.
Boing. There it is.
Yeah, I see Road Warrior. He does like he's going to single Fort Bragg. Charles says Baffert will be at Saratoga Saturday. He doesn't show up for Naira unless he's in the winner's circle. This might not be the winner's circle horse that he's here for, though. I mean, Mark is already just like dying on the inside a little bit because he knows what's going to happen later.
I'm pretty more than a little. I mean, more
I'm pretty
than a little.
concerned. Like,
apparently, Mark is in the horny chair. I don't know what the hell that means, but
I wonder how he's going to do shipping to New York. Like, he does well shipping to Maryland, but that's also in like the friendly like Stronach confines.
Historically,
you know what I mean?
Baffert has done very well shipping to Saratoga, especially to go post Travers.
True,
yeah,
but
Uncle
this is
Chuck.
also,
Remember Uncle Chuck?
This is also this is true, but this is also he hasn't shipped since Isa. He hasn't shipped since they've really cracked down on his shit. I remember whenever he shipped to Oaklawn after Gamine tested positive, and they had a fucking CCTV feed.
Very
Strap
valid point.
proposed. Yeah, so but Stronach, he's free to cheat.
Didn't
So,
Gamine run a hole through the wall, like a hole through the wind at Saratoga?
yeah, but they weren't like
Yeah,
that test hadn't
that's
come up
pre. That was
positive
pre
yet.
his. Yeah, pre his
Yeah.
it is.
Okay, fair enough. Race 10. It's going 7 furlongs here. The ballerina for handicap race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Mark, I don't think you've gone first yet. We got 7-5 on Echo Zulu, 9-5 on Goodlight Olive, and then I think you get your price on anybody else if you like them in this race. Where did you land here?
Yeah, I thought this is actually a really tough race. It's a fun little race. I think obviously Echo Zulu is the horse to beat in here. 3 for 3 Saratoga, 8 for 10 Lifetime, yada 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 yada. But there's an interesting argument to be made here, and it's really that Echo Zulu's figures are not that much, if any, faster than a couple of others in here who you're going to get substantially better prices on. Obviously hometown connections with Goodnight Olive and running for Chad Brown, another absolute. She's been an absolute win monster, and was absolutely phenomenal until kind of the wheels came off in that Derby City, and then she put it back together when she headed back north in the the Bed of Roses. So both those horses make a ton of sense. They're both very much fit on figures, but and obviously I've had a soft spot for Goodnight Olive for quite some time. But where I'm gonna actually land is one more to the inside of Echo Zulu, and that's Wicked Halo. Wicked Halo's figures absolutely fit in here, and she's going to be able to kind of stalk and pounce, and you're going to get paid if she wins. And I don't think she's substantially slower, if any bit slower than any of those in here. Her fig in the last was not the best, but she still got the win and looked fine doing it. I'm sort of really I want to try to beat Echo Zulu. And again, I was saying Echo Zulu's figures are kind of on par with this field. Actually, I'm just kind of flipping back through it now. With the exception of Echo Zulu's last, she's slower than Goodnight Olive and Wicked Halo pretty consistently. So I'll take the price and land on Wicked Halo.
Billy.
Man, it's honestly, and if I'm playing the 2-day pick 6, this is single number 3 for me. I think that Echo Zulu is alone on the lead. If you look at her just like not a thoroughgraph pattern, but just like her speed figure pattern, you think to yourself, Echo Zulu's got this AB pattern. Also, though, if you look at it deeper, it looks like the horse really pops second off the layoff. The other thing is, in these A to B performances, the spread of the figure is getting smaller and smaller. This horse is really getting dialed in. Plus, I'm working off the assumption that we have a juice track / it's drying out. It's the moving sidewalk. Echo Zulu hits the rail on the front and wins for fun. Trendsetters give a fuck what you do. Sticks, drums, Echo goddamn Zulu. It's supposed to say Shaka instead of Echo, but I made it work for my needs.
I love Echo Zulu in this spot. This is probably the most likely winner for me on the sequence. So this is a Stone Cold single. I think Chase mentioned that this is this might end up being just a lone speed situation, and also Mark, you did mention Goodnight Olive and the wheels falling off. Two back. I don't know necessarily the wheels fell off as much as Tyler Gaffleone went full road rage or road rash with the club and was just whacking the shit out of Goodnight Olive and kind of keeping her pinned in. But I don't know. I think that Echo Zulu just gets loose out there. 3 for 3 here at Saratoga. 2 wins at the distance out of 3 starts in 1 second. I think that this is going to hit her right in between the eyes. And I just think the pace advantage is going to be too much.
Yeah, sort of picking apart Echo Zulu. So her last effort was absolutely freakish. I'm more of a time form person these days. She had been a horse that had been sort of running 117, 119, 115 sort of time form range. She ran a 133. She absolutely blew everything out. You mentioned that bounce word before. Isn't there a chance she bounces off that huge effort last out? And you guys were also talking that she tends to fire second off the layoff. Isn't she really third off the layoff here? Going back to,
No, there's a line. There's a line between them.
Yeah, but see, I'm looking at a different forum with a different line. So,
I mean, I consider that May to July a layoff. So I would have it second off the layoff here in August. And I don't know, man. Like, this is something I had Ed DeRosa on my pod earlier when we looked at this sequence, and he was like, you don't really see female champion sprinters win by like open links like this. That's the other part that it's something I'd never really considered, but I mean, that win in the winning colors, I mean, it's by 5 3/4. You got to think she's geared down a little bit. She might even been geared down in the last outing, which
she also beat a horse that's 15 to 1 on the morning line here at last out. So who'd she really beat?
The clock, time, the fabric of space and time,
a hole in the wind. Yeah,
okay. She bent it to her needs.
I agree with Alex. I think she probably bounces here. That's sort of my take. But the thing is, she's a horse that could bounce and regress 10 points in time form and still be a major player in here, right? So it's how badly does she bounce?
That's the other thing. Like, if she regresses, she's still probably fast enough to win.
Off that last, but my concern is if you look at 3 or 4 races prior to that last race, they're not that fast. Others in here have run consistently faster. So she's got one monster of a race that was her last out. If you're saying she bounces and she regresses, just 2 or 3 others in here that probably beat her.
I think she still runs like a 107 and wins in Briz figures.
But does she bounce?
Probably about as high as one of my rent checks.
And Alex, you know who's 2 for 2 at Saratoga? Oh yeah, Wicked Halo.
A Dick Wolf production.
I think we're getting dangerously well. It's going to be a fun race to watch, and I do think you need to make a with the 2 short prices. You kind of got to make a strong opinion, or like, hey, if you really like Wicked Halo, I better not see any B's using Goodnight Olive and
So if I make them all A's, then I wouldn't be using a B, right?
Mm-hmm. There you go. I like where your head's at.
Race 11 here, the Sword Dancer. We're gonna be going 1.5 miles here on the turf. They keep rolling Channel Maker out here. You would think that they'd find Glorious Empire somewhere and see if he can come back and wire one of these races.
You know why I hate these races is because 1 + 1 should equal 2, but for some reason, every time I handicap one of these races, 1 + 1 equals fucking Channel Maker. It's obnoxious.
Okay, he wins a race every 3 freaking years. It can't equal Channel Maker that often.
Dude, he always works on pace because he's the only horse that ever wants to go to the front in these races. And that's the thing about it. That's why Channel Maker always looks appealing. Is you go back through his past performances, you have all sorts of things that you can toss out, be them like soft track performances, a little bit of trouble. And so that average speed figure is always huge compared to the rest of the field. Horse is the paper champion of the world.
Yeah, and I mean he's an E7, right? So that's a 2.5.
So all he needs to do is to have all the real horses in the race break down behind him, and then he can win again. Is that what we're going with Channel Maker?
Well, I mean, you have to consider that it's going to be on soft turf again. And Channel Maker is a horse that wins over soft turf.
Yeah.
By the way,
the pace complexion in this race is completely different than the Bowling Green. He's actually has pace pressure in here from 2 other horses.
That's right, and I'm using the other horse. I'm using 2 here. It's going to be Channel Maker, and then I'm using Bolshoi Ballet because that horse is going to sit first run off of Channel Maker, and it's got a history of running over some just, as they probably call it on the European feed, just bottomless fucking field. So I really like Bolshoi Ballet for Aiden O'Brien, and it's just the two horses out at the front. It's once again, I mean, it's a cut in the ground, and I think horses towards the front are going to be favored. I think you're going to see just a lot of speed win all Saturday.
I mean, we talk about Channel Maker not winning often. Bolshoi Ballet has not won since 2021. So
He does not want to go this far. Straight up, period. End of the sentence.
If you tell me Stone Age is going to win this race, I'm going to tell you right now you're crazy.
No, I don't think Stone Age wants to go this far either.
I don't like Stone Age in the spot either. Who do you like, Mark?
I sort of drawing lines through horses I didn't like, and his namesake is probably going to jail. So this guy maybe goes to the winner's circle, and that's Verstappen, the two.
Why is Verstappen going to
wait,
jail?
was he going to? Did he win too many things? Is that
no? He got a
against the
fucking
law?
he got a reckless speeding ticket, and it looks like he's probably going to go to jail over it. Josh feverishly typing.
Dude, I'm like, you can't.
You're
Today is literally the one day you can't be like, oh, his namesake's going to jail, because this is not the person you're thinking of who's going to jail today.
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm like looking all over for a fucking Donald Trump horse in here. Like where?
international
Like who's
news.
going to jail? Like what? Soldier Rising? Was that named after Donald Trump? I have no idea. Like,
No, I like Verstappen in here quite a bit.
Anyone else want to know what fell out whenever Donald Trump had to squat and cough at the booking? Spread the cheeks, lift the sack, squat and cough. I think Mark Meadows fell out. No big deal.
Well done, Chase. Well done. No, I think Verstappen. Obviously, Channel Maker had all his own way on the front end. I think there's more pace pressure in here, and I think he probably takes a step forward in here. Likes going this trip. I don't think the extra distance hurts him at all. His Elkhorn, at Keeneland over good going, and there's probably going to be some, a little bit softer going today. Is the best race of his career, and that Bowling Green was also a really nice effort as well. So I think with a little more pace pressure to soften up like a Channel Maker, I think Declan kind of trips out, and I think Verstappen is a major player, and he's my top choice in here.
That's so you. I don't know why, but I feel like you picking a horse named after a Formula One driver, and not only that, a chalky, like a 1-9 Formula One driver. It feels just so on brand right now.
I'm not a Verstappen fan though. I'm really not. I'm an Alonso fan. So yeah.
So funny story about that last race that Verstappen and the Channel Maker ultimately won. Chase, you ever get your face beat in so much on a weekend that you're just like, all right, I like you got to pull the plug. It's like I got to stop betting. Yeah. Mine happened to be the race before Bowling Green was where I was like, I'm done. The two horses I had in the Bowling Green were Channel Maker and Verstappen, and that exacta paid
Sex Island money,
not Sex Island money, but like it was maybe as a down payment. It was a down payment on one. Or maybe at least you could rent a charter boat out there or something. That was very rough for me. If you didn't go to the wedding, don't go to the funeral. So I think I'm gonna have to have a soft fade on those two. Although I do think Channel Maker is in with a bit of a shot. If it does come up soft, I will be using Channel Maker. But I actually like Soldier Rising the best out of these. And reason being is Soldier Rising that last time out basically wasn't given any type of chance to get into that race. Got bumped really hard, checked. It's really bad. If you look at the notes on this race, they got the trouble plus indication here, green word, and at least on the optics figs, if he runs back to his Manhattan, he fits in here very, very well. I haven't looked at any other figures as of yet, but I really like Soldier Rising here. I do like Channel Maker a little bit, but I do think that there is going to have to be some cut in the ground to use a horse like Channel Maker in this spot. But Soldier Rising, my top pick in here.
Yeah,
You know,
one other
I
horse.
saw a television show today on Discovery that's just called Sinkholes. That's kind of what I think the turf surface is going to be like on Saturday. Quite honestly, you're just gonna dig in. It might be one of those cases where a heavier horse might have carrying more weight might have a little bit more of a shot because they're able to get down to terra firma, if you will, a little bit easier.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I would say the one other horse that we haven't talked about that I was interesting. It's my other A horse. Shockingly, both my A's are 8-1, and that's Pioneering Spirit, the 5. Linda Scratch just went out from earlier in the week to run in this spot. Horses won 4 in a row since they figured out that they had a turf horse on their hands, and has been in just really, really, really good form. You're getting the other Ortiz as Jose decided to stick on the 1, but Rad's kind of okay. So I think this is a horse that is a younger horse running versus a bunch of older horses in this race. There still may be a little bit of upside left in him. And if you look at, I know Briz isn't showing it, but if you look at Bayer, Speed Figs, or Time Form, they show every one of those turf races got a slight bit faster. So it seems like he keeps finding a little bit more, and he doesn't need to take a very much of a step forward to be a major player here. And I think there is a fair bit of pace complexion in this race. I think again, Bolsho Ballet, who Chase had mentioned, Channel Maker and Stone Age all have a fair bit of speed. And I think somebody like Pioneering Spirit is going to be one of those ones that can kind of sit back, see how the pieces fall, make that one big move. And I think he's an interesting player at a big price. I realize this is a massive class test for him, but class doesn't matter. So why not?
I respect the pick of Pioneering Spirit is it's got one of my new favorite angles, which is the longer priced Ortiz. I'm not cynical and don't think that they're cheating me. If a Linda Rice horse wins with the longer Ortiz, I call shenanigans.
So I have my big issue with Pioneering Spirit is he was entered into a softer spot earlier this week, and I didn't like him in that spot. So the fact that they scratched him out and they put him into a harder spot, while Mark's like that means that they think a lot of this horse. The fact that I didn't like him running in some optional claimer or allowance race earlier this week, and now he's in the grade one.
It was the John's call, and the decision might have saved the horse's life, honestly, which is the sad part.
Yeah. I'm a little just because I didn't like the horse in that spot. I mean, I don't know. I really just don't care for the horse here either. So.
Yeah, I totally respect that. I mean, it's if you don't like the horse, that's fine. But my thought was I think 1 mile and 5/8 maybe a little bit more than he wants to go, and I thought this going 1.5 miles, I realize it's only an eighth more, but I thought this trip might fit his pedigree a little better because you're pushing the edge of how far an American Pharoah wants to go.
Oh, this feels like a thoroughgrass play. What's that thoroughgraph fig look like if you're on Daunt? That's my question.
Yeah, that's
Daunt just hates Saratoga. That's my issue. Daunt has never hit the board in 5 starts at the track. Sometimes the sheets are really right, and Tommy has these plays where he comes up with a price that just is a head shaker to me. But the horse feels like he has a good case of the hangs, and
This feels like a dirt horse to me.
Let the record show Mark doesn't like a Castellano horse. Writing for some no name connections. So which is his move.
It is his move. Again, he's gotten a little bit faster his last 4 in a row. If he wasn't over 5 and it completely, it's not like he just hasn't won. He hasn't hit the board. It just,
what confidence sounds like? It's a sharp exhale like that. It's just a cleansing breath. That's what confidence sounds like.
This is basically a horse I wouldn't bet with Josh's money. Let's call it what it is.
I appreciate it. Because all the horses I'm betting with my money are also losing. So, yeah. Let's move on to the big one here, the Travers. Grade 1, going 1.25 miles for 3-year-olds, and I will tell you if you like like good storylines, horses that, horses that like, that the public can get behind, right? Because good trainers, good stories, real positive things, maybe you get one of these, thinking about all the positivity coming for it. Well, I got some news for you. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Baffert is winning another Travers.
Josh, I'm with you. And I'm personally sick of this cancel culture and the war against Bob Baffert.
I mean, since Tommy's in the chat, Tommy, Tommy has been very vocal, at least privately in our chats and stuff like that, talking about how Jorge Navarro and Jason Service made him a lot of money gambling. So Bob Baffert has made me a bit of money gambling, and I mean, I don't know. I just see this going, National Treasure, wire to wire, similar to the Preakness. I mean, you got a lot of the same horses in here. Obviously Arcangelo, and Forte. I mean, hell, even Tapit Trice passed him in the Belmont. But that was going, I think, a little bit too far for National Treasure there,
And a little too fast too.
and a little too fast. And I think coming back, cutting back off that, and I mean, in fairness, I mean, maybe Scotland's got a bit of speed, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be enough here to stop National Treasure. I mean, we got an EP5 horse and we got an E6 horse, and that's our pace. That's our pace in this race. I mean, I've seen this story before, and I just think National Treasure gets out there, gets on the front end, and just keeps on going. And I don't know. I've tried. I've tried to make cases for some of these other horses, and I don't know. I tried to make the case for Thace, and I couldn't. But maybe it's time to turn the page on Mage. Maybe it's time to throw in the Borte on Forte. I don't know. Maybe it's time to go to the.
You're done. Just
yeah,
wrap
I'm
it up.
done. I was gonna
He
try.
was done quite a while ago.
Arpeligical or Archangel. I have no fucking clue. Someone save me.
Right now, as it stands, I could go 4 deep. I might cut it to 3 deep by Saturday. But I will say this: Forte, not my Jim Dandy winner, and I'm not using them. The horse that I'm considering using or not using is going to be Arcangelo, and I am going to use National Treasure. I'm going to use Disarm, and I'm going to use Scotland. Say some calamity happens at the gate. National Treasure doesn't make the lead. It's Scotland alone on the lead, who just wired a race, is on the steady improve. Also, maybe National Treasure goes, and he's just not good enough to go all the way on the front the entire time. That puts Scotland sitting first run on a track, which I keep saying over and over again, I think is going to carry early speed. So I think Scotland's a good play to use horizontally. And then, Disarm. I'll use Disarm along with it because not my Jim Dandy winner. And I think Arcangelo is going to take a good bit of money.
Il Miracolo, who ran in that Curlin, just came back to win earlier this week. It was yesterday. Or was it Sunday? I forgot, but came back to win a nice race. Mark, where did you kind of land here?
Yeah, I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with the Travers. If Bob Baffert beats me, Bob Baffert beats me, but none of his horses are going to be on any of my tickets. Horse racing, and especially Saratoga desperately needs a good story. And if I were the Naira track maintenance people, I would be in Jenna Danucci's barn and saying, hey, what do we need to do to the track to give your horse the absolute best chance to win? Because that's the kind of good story that they need. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I like the horse even without that. But if I were them, that's what I would be doing right now. because it has been a terrible meet. There have been some terrible, very public breakdowns of some very nice horses, and
so you know who
I
they're
would
listening
be-
to is Mike Rapoli and Todd Pletcher. That's what's happening.
Yeah, this is probably who they're
With
listening to. Yeah,
Irad up.
what do we do before today so we can get Mike another win? No,
Yeah.
I mean I love Arcangelo in this spot. He's won his last 3. He won the Belmont going farther than his pedigree really says he wants to go. He's a horse that we still don't know what he has to show. He seems to just keep getting better. He's been training extremely well from everything I've heard at Saratoga. He's been here for a while. And I just think you run into this thing with this 3-year-old crop where you have the horses that are pushed really hard to make those first Saturday in May starts and get on that Triple Crown trail. And this is just a horse that Jenna has managed very well, let him develop how he developed. It took him a little more time. And the fun part about the Travers is you get to see those early bloomers versus these sort of the horses of now. And I think Arcangelo is just the horse of this crop from what I've seen. He's amazingly talented. He's done nothing wrong. And yeah, I mean, it would be the story that horse racing desperately could use.
We could really use Jenna Antonucci going on to OAN Network again the next day, interviewing after the Travers.
I mean,
Don't care. Still want to have a salad with her at Panera Bread.
I'm not gonna.
Just go past that. Just go past.
Just
that.
not gonna touch it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think Arcangelo is a lone A for me. The only other, I'll have Mage on a few tickets. I think Mage is really talented. He's got to kind of refine his form. Javi was asleep on him in the Haskell and just moved way too late. He was rolling, but just couldn't quite get there. I think Mage is an interesting player here, but I think the Mage situation got really interesting with Luis Saez being off all his mounts for the foreseeable future. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I'm trying to remember who was up on him. I think it's Pratt got the mount on Mage. Yeah. So, and I actually think, as much as we give Flavien Pratt a ton of crap, I think his running style, you having fun, Josh?
I have something planned right now. Keep
okay,
going.
Good. I'm glad you have something planned. So I think his running style, probably fits Flavien Pratt's style quite well. And the other horse Chase had already mentioned is Scotland. I think Scotland is your controlling speed in this race. That developing type, that later developing horse, and he doesn't need to take much of a step forward here to be a major player.
I'm getting some insanely high readings right now, Josh, on my Mage gauge.
I do like Mage a little bit in here, but I have one warning I want to give off real quick. All right. And there's somebody listening, watching right now that needs to hear this. There's absolutely someone who needs this. If you put a fucking penny on Tapit Trice in this race, I swear to God.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this might just not be the sport for you.
Yeah. Public service announcement. Stop fucking doing that.
I mean, look at Tapit Trice. I'm not going to say that there's absolutely no way he can win. He's probably got a 2% chance to win this race, right? The problem is Tapit Trice is going to be 8-1 in this race, 7-1. I bet you Ed DeRosa's out there giving some fair value and saying that he's like 25-1. I don't know. I haven't looked at the.
No, he was on the pod today. There were a lot of there was a lot of besmirching of Tapit Trice.
Please do not bet Tapit Trice. All right, we had to interrupt this entire thing. Please, I am begging you,
Josh. You
I'm
do
glad to
realize
see how you guys have grown, because I remember doing the exact same thing about 8 rings. I think after he won. After 8 rings,
Josh,
won the BC Juvenile.
You do realize how Mutel pots work, right? Like this is you want everyone to bet Tapit Trice. All the money, shovel all the money at Tapit Trice. Dude, I want value on my other horses.
Dude, I want every single person around Capone's picnic table to be betting him. I don't want the people watching this stream to be betting him. All right?
Yeah.
All right. I feel like we have to protect the bettors. All right. Lower takeout and don't bet Tapit Trice. All right. That's how we protect the bettors. All right.
Yeah. It's not for us baby whales. It's not for the belugas. It's,
No.
we want the blue whales.
Can we add Forte to the do not bet Forte as well?
I mean,
No.
I think like
Went all the money
no,
through
like
Forte.
look, Forte's a good horse. Forte is Tacitus. Forte is going to win a Grade 1. Or has he won a Grade 1 already?
I don't think has.
No,
He's
I
won a
think he's
GT.
won as a 2-year-old.
Oh, no, he won the
right?
Florida Derby.
Yeah.
Florida Derby. Yep, you're right.
He's in Florida Derby. He's
And the
gonna win.
BC
He's gonna
Derby.
win another Grade
And
1.
the British Futurity.
He's gonna win another Grade 1.
Okay.
It's gonna
He's
be
won one or two of them.
He's gonna get
Yeah.
a pace set up in one of them, and he's gonna win.
I will
Trice
say,
does not
though,
have a Grade 1 in him.
Tapit Trice, we do have the longer Price Ortiz brother angle.
You son of a bitch.
I do kind of. Do you wonder if Forte is just going to be like armored up with like spikes, and Irad's just going to get a shotgun and load it and go full, just like Road Warrior, just Mad Max on this thing?
Man, I'm just like,
I want
man,
him to get DQ'd in the Travers, and then I want him to kill himself. I didn't mean that.
Whoa!
I didn't mean that.
Boo, no.
You're right. I want Paco Lopez to kill him.
Yeah. So you did say the Mage Gauge was all the rage.
Yeah, it's just
And
in this
we
room
we
right
did
now.
we did try to turn the page, but luckily I have a nice little sage that decided to. Oh, okay. I think I'm done. But
Wow,
anyways,
that was a lot.
I think of the other horses in this race, similar to how you were talking, Chase, about, hey, if this does, using a horse like Disarm as an off the pace in case something stupid does happen on the front end. I think Mage is the horse that is most likely to pick up the pieces. The Haskell was a weird race. Go Rocket Ride. I don't know where he's at now. Is he running in in California? Is he running that
Who?
Go Rocket Ride?
Yeah. I think
You rock. Oh, I thought you were like joking because he's like, you go.
so.
You.
Yeah. I was on that horse in the Haskell though, which is nice.
Yeah. But
Oh my God, Sully's trolling you hard.
what hold on, I can pull up the Tapit Trice is a big Q4 circle.
Yeah.
These are horses that do not win. All right. I mean, even Optics is telling you not to bet this horse. Chase, who doesn't use Optics and doesn't believe in Optics, even Optics is telling him not to bet the horse.
So I'm no optics savant or anything, but man, does that ever make Mage even look better than he already is?
Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That's Optics is what kind of put me on to Mage kind of being maybe the horse to use here of the other kind of short price horses. Honestly, Disarm doesn't look that bad. Disarm looks pretty interesting as well.
Josh,
So,
actually, I sent you an alternate optics chart that I found that I think is really, if you want to pull that up, I think it really.
I can't do it.
Okay.
I can't do it.
All right. It's because I drew
No.
a dick on it, folks.
It
at home.
is because you drew a yeah.
I got a
but,
Q4 dick.
Shout out, by the way. Make sure you do check out Optics. Obviously, you can get your own little Optics subscription at opticseq.com. They so nicely provide us data for this. So
Tell Emily that we
shout
sent
out
you.
to them. Yeah, I'll be seeing Emily on Saturday. I will
nice.
show
Good
Emily.
job.
I will show Emily the picture you sent me, Chase, and
she
I
will
will
laugh
get
her
you
ass
her
off at it.
reaction.
She'll dig it because it
um,
looks like it has an extra
Oh,
piercing in it.
she will laugh her ass off at that. Emily is.
See, I want to,
takes
but
a-
let me. Can I get on the record real quick about how I feel about optics? I think
Uh-huh.
optics is a great tool if you're well versed in it. You're good at using it. I've used it and been successful. It's not my main thing. My only problem with optics is the red boards that are like, oh, it's so obvious, and it's like, no, it's not. It wasn't so obvious. You see this horse, bumped and went to the back. This one tossed the rider. Like, yeah, it's obvious when you count those out, but like before that, it wasn't just obvious. Like, come on, man. That's my thing. That's my only thing with optics. Other than that, I think it's a fine tool, and if you understand it, use the fuck out of it.
I think we talked about every single horse in this race. So congratulations to Tapit Trice for being the Travers, the winner of the Travers here.
And congratulations to the Ortiz brothers' cousin for placing that massive bet on him for it. on tap and tries for them.
Yeah, but Chase, what do you got going on, man? Well, you got anything else cooking this week?
Oh yeah, so published a pod. Me and Ed DeRosa did a look at the other late pick 5 on this card, and then tomorrow morning I'm recording with Andrew Champagne of Drinking Champagne of Andrew Champagne fame, and he and I are gonna do like a look at the Travers card, $100 budget. Just how we plan to attack the card, and yeah, they'll be out probably tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and we're hoping that Drinking Champagne is going to be making its comeback here in the next couple weeks. So we'll keep you posted on that. Mark, you got anything else going on this week?
No, not a lot going on.
Bees?
I will. The bees are all set. I got my 4 new queens installed today, so work from home and spent my whole afternoon in my bee yard. But I'll be on track on Saturday. Shoot me a message and I'll be around. I don't have a seat, so I'm probably just gonna be floating. With the weather forecast, I may buy a seat, even though God, those prices are. Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Congratulations to the 4 pawns that Mark was able to promote to a queen.
Mark, can you stand up? I think you have a little schmutz on your shirt. Can you stand up real quick?
There's some schmutz.
Whoa, there's some schmutz.
There's some schmutz on that. Yeah. Okay.
Look at that merch.
There you go. Where can someone buy one a shirt like that?
Store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. If you go to brands, the Notorious OTB is there. Hoodies,
Nice
shirts,
their stuff is just crazy comfortable. Like, this is so comfy.
I will say, I spent a week with Mark, and I believe he wore both that shirt and the Wolf of Oaklawn shirt in the same.
I still don't have the Wolf of Oaklawn shirt. My mom does. Fun
That's
fact.
funny.
Yeah.
But,
I wear my On the Wrong Lead shirt all the damn time because I love you guys.
Love
I
you
want the
too.
best for you.
Aw.
But yeah, make sure you check Chase's stuff out. He just had a podcast obviously come out with Ed DeRosa, I think, today, looking at this stuff. And then we'll be around as usual. Message us on Discord. I'm no longer in the Discord, so you can message me on Twitter. Have a good week.
You're not on Discord. Who the fuck have I been talking to, Josh?
Nobody knows.
Dear God.
Thank you.